Do I need more makeup?
Always. I'm joined this morning by Constantinos from the Lovely Dashboard, or the Lovely Dashboard Project. That is what we are here to talk about today a bit. But really, I want to talk to you about that in a way where what Lovely Dashboard is, how you can use it, and pretty much all of the updated sims that are out there. But I'm more interested in finding out about Constantinos, his story, how we met, and just the usual chat thing that I like to do. So, hello, Constantine.
Hey, Robin.
Thank you very much for coming on board this morning. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me, honestly.
Can you tell me your name, your age, and where you're from?
You really want to know?
I do.
So my name is Constantinos. They tell me I'm just under 50, so 49 this year. I don't feel that way, so it's fine. And I live in Athens, Greece.
Wow.
But I'm originally, I was born in New York City, and around at the age of 10, we moved as a family to Greece. So parents are Greek, and that's how we wound up back here.
So are you a U.S. citizen? Are you dual citizen?
Yes, I am a dual citizen. I got my U.S. passport. I can go back and forth. I can even work in the United States.
Oh, that's handy. That is.
But I don't want to.
Well, there you go. You just never know. You just never know. That's interesting. And in Athens right now, I mean, do you have winter there at the moment, or?
No, I mean, today, it was 7 a.m. when I usually get up, 7 or 8 a.m. It was 14 degrees. It's kind of humid today because we got south winds and everything. So it's kind of starting to feel like spring, although we've got February. February is one of the harshest months of the year. We're expecting cold.
And I know everything is levels, because what you call a harsh winter is not what I call a harsh winter, which is not what the guys in the north of Scotland call a harsh winter. And Alaska. We've just had a really crazy storm over the last few days. In fact, we were out of power, electricity, mobile signal, heat, every light, the whole lot.
No, yeah, I see your point. No. Harsh winter is what you would call a normal day.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's about 3 or 4 degrees here today, and that would be the norm. I mean,
that would be our harsh winter.
At the most,
we do have some negative, 0, -1, but that's maybe just some parts of a day in the year. So we don't have that kind of temperature. For me, if it goes down to 5 degrees, it's cold. No, it is very cold here.
But it gets to about.
We did have a week or so. We did have around 7 or 8 degrees.
Yes.
And that was very cold.
When it gets to about 12 degrees here, people start wearing t-shirts.
Yeah, no. Now it's 14 degrees, and I got my t-shirt, I got this, and I also wear a jacket as well. So I'm kind of accustomed to the climate. Although it is, to be fair, it's completely different to other cold temperatures because we have a kind of humid weather here. So our cold is actually worse than a dry cold in a dry climate. So it all depends, I guess, and what you get used to.
At this time of year, January, February time, I would have spent quite a bit of time going back and forth into Paris. And although the temperature said it was pretty much the same as it was here, it wasn't.
Yeah.
There's a difference. It's a colder, biter in your bones, European and thing, where we are soft and damp. Just damp.
So it is different. It is different. It's not just the number of the temperature. It's also, the actual climate.
Okay. Do you have family? Are you married? Do you have kiddies? Or is there
Yeah, I'm happily married, and I have one daughter. And she's turning 17 this year, getting her driving permit as well.
Oh, crap.
So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, it's...
the one thing I want to do is I want to teach my daughter how to drive.
See, I farmed that out with my boys. My father-in-law, getting old now, but he was a driving instructor years ago, and he has a lovely he has your kind of temperament, which would be quite calm and patient, where I might just be the right guy for that.
Yeah.
Even now, when
I may lean calm and patient, but that would only be with others. I'm not like that with myself. My wife sometimes asks me, "What happened in your office today?" Because I could be just not being very polite to myself and to the computer.
I get it from Judith now and again, where Robin, you left your work and it was stressful, and you were always wound up tight and you're now and again I see you getting the same way about what you're doing now? And I went, yeah, because I put myself under so much pressure to do so much, and there's not enough time, and there's never enough time, and I'm trying to make use of every minute, and I do get a bit annoyed with me, not with others around me, but with me.
Not everyone understands that. That's like the most weird thing. Like, and now this is what I do, right? So
we are proverbial ducks. That's where the duck comes in with me. We're smooth on top, paddling like man underneath to try and stay afloat.
yeah, that's actually yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
that's where my duck. That's where the duck thing comes in with. Okay, so before we get to lovely dashboard, before we get there, you're sitting in a rig right now, and that's how we met. So let's see. On a Wednesday or it was a Tuesday evenings, I had two foster kids several years ago now. Those two foster kids that used to play football, and it was there for an hour and a half session. It was a bit of a drive, so I would generally take them to football and park the car up, and instead of watching them, I would tune into your stream. Because you had just started with LFM in your license, and I had just started, and I had accidentally started streaming because I do the gaming podcast and thought, well, I might as well do this too. And we both started streaming ACC with LFM pretty much about the same time. And I remember sitting in the car watching you, and every time you crashed or you had a bit of a problem, I would blame the moon and the tides.
Yeah,
and
that's totally true.
Yeah, and there was a bit of we struck off a little bit of, I suppose, rapport and a bit of comparing notes and stuff back then. So, how did you get to that stage, and what is your history then with I suppose gaming and then getting into sim racing? Where did that come from?
Yeah, I am absolutely not a gamer in any sense of the way. I did play Tetris. I had a Game Boy. But that's like the extent of my gaming history. I don't like gaming per se. I do have like various devices. Like I had a PlayStation. Well, actually, the PlayStation came because of sim racing. But like I have a Switch, and I think the only game I ever finished on that was the Mario World one, which came out with the Switch, which was amazing. But I've never been a gamer.
Okay.
When I was a really small kid, we did have an Atari.
Yeah.
In which we played a lot of, Pac-Man
games
and Logger. What was that other one called? Pitfall. Like there was all these games that I really enjoyed, but I was a kid. But what happened is we eventually outgrew the Atari and got a Commodore, a VIC-20 back then.
VIC-20, wow.
And those didn't have games. Like you would have games, but the games were like very, very, just basic, right?
Yeah.
And basic was something that I got intrigued in, like the actual programming. So I remember doing the print and all that with the jumping jack guy. Yeah. I eventually went from a Commodore VIC-20, got a Commodore 64, and then got a 286 PC running at 8 megahertz, and just grew from there. But it was never about gaming. Like I always loved creating things.
It was about getting them to do stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I never recall myself sitting in front. Like I've played a lot of different games, but I was never a gamer. Like I remember Leisure Suit Larry, which is one of my favorites. Great game. I never finished a single one of those. Like I just would go in, play a bit and just leave. I would get bored. I think the only two games that I ever completed in my life was the on the Switch was a few years ago. The Super Mario World, whatever that was.
Yeah.
And on the PC, on a 286 back then, I don't remember if it was a 386 PC. Myst.
Oh,
you ever heard
that? Okay, Myst.
Those were like the two games that I absolutely got immersed in, like especially Myst.
So Myst can be right up. I can see that. I can see Myst being right up your street as that.
Exactly. It wasn't a game.
Solving.
It was a mystery.
Yeah.
You have to solve things and puzzles, which is what I really like to do. So I was never, ever a gamer. And at no point in life did I actually own a PlayStation or an Xbox. I don't have those things. The only thing I had was a Switch, and I got it when it first came out, and I mostly got it for my daughter. But it, nobody really, we play Mario Kart just for fun. And guess what? That's not really a game. It's a simcade of driving, right?
So
Yeah, but never been a gamer myself.
So then, if that's the case, how did you go from not gaming to sitting in a 10 grand's worth of rig?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the most obvious thing. I have always, I don't remember myself in life ever not falling in love and following motorsports. Always. Like ever since I was a kid, I always would look at car magazines and cars, and I was watching the race with Ayrton Senna. So throughout my life, it has always been motorsports. I don't like motorcycles. I love cars. I prefer closed circuit racing, so not rally. But even if there's nothing else to watch, rally it is. I don't care. It's always motorsports. So cars, 4 wheels, racing as fast as you can.
Has an engine.
I've always loved that.
If it has an engine,
so
pretty much. I'm the same. I grew up with it. And I want to ask you about Senna in just a second as well. And I was doing motocross as a kid. So on Saturdays, I was away racing motorcycles. Well, all my other mates were playing football and doing stuff like that. So things with balls, all sorts of things with balls I've never been interested in. But yeah, it was, watching the Wild World of Sport or whatever it is on a Saturday, where it showed you little snips of all these fantastic motorsports from all around the world, like mud racing and you name it. I sucked it all up, and my family were very much involved in the motorcycle road racing scene. So I've always been around motorbikes and then cars, and then if there was a rally on close by, not that I knew that much about it, I would go to a quarry and watch that, or stock car racing, or anything with an engine. And Formula One has always been through my life. And speaking of Formula One, you mentioned you watched Senna. Do you watch the Faithful race? Do you watch the Faithful race?
Oh, yes, I was watching it. And in fact, it's kind of a weird story because we were at back then, I don't remember, how old was I? I don't remember. I was still in school, I think. We were at a friend's house. We were watching the race, and it was lunchtime. So we were at the table eating, and while the race was going, I was like eating and watching. I wasn't talking to anyone around me. I was like invisible. Like everyone else was invisible to me. I was just watching the race. And someone noticed that. I think it was my mom noticed it, and she just turned the TV off. And she's like, we're here, not there. And that's when it happened. I didn't actually see the moment it happened.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like,
but it was like a thing. Okay, I'll forget it. We'll just see it later. Whatever. Back then we didn't have YouTube or anything, but I'll catch the news. And later in the day, I did turn on the news to see what happened to the race, and I saw the bad news, and I literally was in shock.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like. I mean, I'm old enough to remember exactly where I was when it came over on the radio that Elvis had died. It's funny to think, and I remember exactly where I was during that race. And I would have been in my early 20s. I was at a girlfriend's mobile home caravan that they had down at the seaside. We were having a late Sunday lunch. I remember there was a local fishery nearby, and we were having local lobster. And Alessi had a younger brother, who's now a fully grown man and a very, very good guy. But I was into my Formula One. I was watching this in the corner while eating lobster, privileged boy. And the crash happened, and he burst out laughing and made some jokes. And I remember snapping his head off, saying, "This is really bad. This is serious." But I always remember, it's funny, yeah, you remember exactly where you were at those certain times. That was a horrible weekend.
I remember how I felt when I got back home and turn on the news just to see what happened with the race, and you find out what actually happened. Same situation, less fateful, of course, with Romain Grosjean. I was at a friend's house. We were watching the race. Crash happens, and the moment it happens, I'm like, everything around me was blacked out. Like I didn't like. My wife was next to me. She's like, "What happened?" Like, I'm like, "Can't you see?" Like, yeah, I can, but is it serious? Like, it is serious. Like my other friends who weren't like Formula One, they didn't watch Formula One or anything. Like, what do you think happened? I'm like, actually, this is really bad. So just let me watch this. So it was kind of like reminiscing all of that, because I think this is like the Romain Grosjean accident was one of the most terrifying accidents after the one with Senna. Of course, there was Ratzenberger again. Like there were really bad accidents, but that one was like, how is he going to get out of that?
I believe in the sales centre in London right now. There's a Formula One exhibition on. Some of our guys have been there. One of our guys was there a weekend or two ago.
Where is that?
In the XL's exhibition centre. I think it's the XL in London.
Is it when is it? Because
I think it's on London. I think it's on now. I think that was maybe last week, the week before he was at it, and there was loads of Formula One cars, historic, but in a glass case they have his car from that accident.
If it's in London, I want to find out because I'll be there end of February.
A burnt out shell off that. I have some. He posts quite a lot of photographs from it. It looks like a fantastic exhibition, but just the shape of the car. I know it was burnt out because of a fire, but the shape of it and what was left of it is just amazing that he got out of that.
Okay, I mean, this might be going off on a tangent in sim racing, but when that accident happened, and when the cameras finally showed him jumping out, I actually felt relief. I was like, I could breathe, you know? It was very intense. And the next thing I said, like once I saw him that he was okay or he was limping and, you know, smoke was coming off his suit. And I'm like, holy beep. These things are secure. These things are safe. Like imagine what just happened. There would be no survivors just 5 years ago, not 30 years ago. There would be no survivor.
Those guys.
Which just comes to say, like, security, safety, all of that is trickling into our cars that we drive every single day.
Yes.
Which is why I love motorsport. It just drives the whole industry. It's not just racing in circles. It's the technology that's in that car, even if it's illegal, even if it's against the rules or they hit it somehow. All of that is what drives my interest. It's not just the racing. It's everything, the strategy, the technology, and everything. That's what I love.
The awareness of the danger of motorsport is what drives some of the passion. So, you know, whether you've been in real life or not, but you're around it and you're aware of it. And I think that's the difference between a real motorsport fan and a casual that drops in again. And but it's there's
a lot of casual motorsport fans that are getting interested in Formula One now, and you realize that they're there for like the accidents and the aggression and all that. Whereas I see a race that may not be as aggressive, but it had amazing strategy, and it's why they weren't so aggressive, so you didn't have a lot of overtakes. But I get excited about that. Like I see it, I'm like, holy shit, these guys pulled off the best strategy. They were close to no one because they were really good in strategy. And someone's going to be like, yeah, well, it was boring. Like, it's not boring. No. What are you talking about?
As I think back of it, was the race in France where Michael Schumacher won the race in the pit lane, came in for a pit.
Oh, yeah, that was,
you know, that's 3D chess sort of stuff there. Between driver and
that really excites me as well.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. That's good. Okay, but that doesn't answer the question. Yes, love motorsport and love technology and love making things happen, but you still got yourself into a rig. That's a big step for a non-gamer. You know, I mean, I grew up with all racing games, all the old classic F1 games, and then going into Forza on Xbox and all PlayStation, all of those bits and pieces. And it was a natural progression sort of for me to go, I love this, I really love this, and the technology's moved on, I wanted. But you went from 0 to 100 in one massive Constantinos bound.
It wasn't that, like this didn't happen overnight, obviously. But if you remember, I don't know if your viewers remember, there was this thing in 2020 called COVID. So I don't know if many people remember that. It was a big thing, basically, where everyone was shut down in their homes. And same thing for us. So we were in our houses. We couldn't go to work, blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. Actually, I worked from home, but you couldn't go to the supermarket. You couldn't do this, that, or meet friends. It was kind of like, you know, limited to what you can do.
Yeah.
And during that period, Formula One shut down. Right? I remember they went to Australia
and they'll send home,
and they couldn't start. The race was canceled, banned, whatever. I don't know. And that's where Formula One basically switched to the virtual championship, if you remember.
Yes.
So I had no idea about sim racing. Like I knew obviously sim racing. I'm into technology. I knew all that kind of stuff, but I never knew how far advanced it was because I'm not a gamer. Like my work
It's so niche. It's so niche. I don't even think gamers understand.
I don't think it was niche. It was just that I never considered myself a gamer. So having a gaming machine and having something to drive a game was never on my horizon. And when I remember it was Albon, it was Russell, I think it was Leclerc. They were driving at home in these rigs. I was like, holy shit. I mean, that's interesting.
I want to own
These guys are
give me hardware company all of a sudden.
I mean, these things are probably paid for by the companies that, their teams, so that they can practice at home. And, when I don't know something, I always Google. And Google basically came up with some really interesting information. And that just kicked everything off. Of course, I didn't start with this. That's why I said didn't start with this. Like the first thing I did, like once I realized that what you see on these cameras with these professional drivers is not something, it is something retail. You can buy it.
Yeah.
Everyone can
reachable,
right?
Touchable. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing I did was, what is the minimum I can do? And I then purchased a PlayStation 4 Pro at that, because I didn't have a gaming machine or anything. So I purchased a PlayStation 4 Pro, and I got myself the Thrustmaster T300 Ferrari Alcantara edition, which is a round wheel Alcantara, and it came with a set of pedals and everything. And that's when everything started. So I got that, I put it on, and I have a picture. I actually posted this on Instagram and my Discord as well. Just had my work office at home. I would basically screw on the steering wheel, have the pedals just against the wall, and put the PlayStation and start Assetto Corsa. Back then, there wasn't Assetto Corsa Competizione on the PlayStation. So this is in 2022, I think, right? Was it? No, this is 2020. Sorry, April or May of 2020. So this is just like after COVID hit, just a few months in. I saw that thing with Formula One. Maybe it was, I don't know. It was early. I don't know. It was like just after they canceled Formula One, and I saw the virtual championship, and I got all that. And that's where everything started. So I went from driving in my office. I got a play seat, a very basic one. And moved the PlayStation, the steering wheel, and the play seat, obviously, up here in the attic, which is, I have a 55-inch, really old 55-inch TV, and I used that. And yeah, the progression after that is just
okay.
It just left. It dug off.
That's a really good point, because it sort of branches out into how your life has then changed. So, for work, you work from home, and as far as my understanding is that you make user interfaces for people that are using software or ATMs or whatever it may be to get them through it the friendliest way to make something work. Is that right, or is that too simple?
So, I have a bachelor degree in industrial design. So, as always, I always love creating things, and that was kind of like the professional path I wanted to take. Designing cars was one of the things I really wanted to do, and because I was in Greece, you don't have an industry for that. So the closest thing I could do is study industrial design, which is basically what you need to get into car design or anything design. Like if you want to design a cup of, glass of water, you need to be an industrial designer. It's with what helps. So I did all the industrial design thing. I got my bachelor's degree, and then there's no actual job in Greece for industrial designer because you don't have, back then at least, we didn't have any industry. So I discovered while finishing up my last year in university, I discovered the internet, and my last assignment was all done in HTML, right? So I discovered that, industrial design is basically how the main part of like the design, what you're doing, it's not about the product if it looks good, it's how people can interact with it, how people can use objects. So when I discovered internet, I realized that, okay, you have objects, you have steering wheels, you have all these things, but you also have a screen that you need to interact with. And that's how I got engaged with the whole UI part. So creating websites back then, and how people can perceive the functionality of a website, the mouse hovering and clicking and going. So that really intrigued me. And it was really in the beginning. So like not many people are doing it. Like I was trying to figure out how to create websites and there was no, literature anywhere. And you couldn't Google because Google didn't exist. So I kind of learned on my own. And from there it grew. So my first official job was creating websites. And that grew into, obviously later on we had Facebook, we have all those things. So microsites, campaigns, that was basically my job. So I was an art director, creative director in advertisement agencies where I would design websites and user interfaces. And somewhere along the way, I stopped doing that and focused solely on user interfaces for mobile applications. And it's what I've been doing for the past 8 years. So creating user interfaces and design systems for mobile applications.
And we will get to it, but I mean, everything that you do is clean and crisp, and you can see that, where I throw a website together now, I should be better because I had an internet company before the internet was called the internet, back in 1999, 2000, 2001, that sort of time period when people didn't, this thing will never catch on. And I had a small company that used to build PCs, and then we started to do internet stuff, and we started to sort out people's internet connections, get them set up with a 56k modem at home. And then businesses said, well, this website thing, can you do something like that? And I had a little company with 14 people working away, and we were doing all of the local councils and colleges and universities that just didn't have that infrastructure set up. And then my company moved on. After 4 years, myself and 3 other companies were sucked up into a television company called Ulster Television. And they took in my company and 2 others, and they created UTB Internet, Ulster Television Internet. And that they took all my clients and they set up a whole department. I did okay of it, not enough to retire, but did okay out of it all. But watching, and I had a whole team of designers and graphic guys and coders and all of that, and I was the puppet master that pulled all the strings and cut the seals. But watching what you do, from the logos to your T-shirt design to the actual thing, the dashboard itself, everything is crisp and clean, and there is you can see there's a very artistic and clean look about it all. It's not soft design. The industrial design, you can see that it's crisp, it's functional, it's there, it serves a purpose, and I see that with you. Is that fair?
I mean, design has a few different philosophies. I'm towards functional design, so form will follow function for me. Like, if it doesn't work right, I don't care if it looks good. For me, it's not right. So it's always been the same. Like even like when because I had luck to design a lot of websites for banks, for insurance agencies, to newspapers, TV stations. So I've had that while working for a larger advertising agency, right? And every single time, I'd always do something that was clean and had very distinct features and functions, and I would never overload a page, and then the client would come in and screw everything up. But that's fine. It wasn't my job. It was to do the best I could. And then what I always say is that a client always gets what he deserves, right? So my job was to, consult and say, this is better, whatever. And these are the tests. Users prefer this and that. But then you couldn't do much more after that.
Yeah. And back in the early days of online shopping, quite a bit of the thing that you had to analyze was, does the website look professional?
Mm-hmm. There's a study, and it's very interesting. When you go, let's say there's like 2 different philosophies, the Western and the Eastern philosophy. This is the actual globe, Western and Eastern, right? So in the West, we prefer clean and simple. And that is why when you visit google.com, all you see is a logo and a search box. We consider that very targeted and functional.
Yep.
Whereas you go to a site like Weibo, which is a Chinese Google, you go to the site and it is flustered. It's full of stuff, logos, icons, news. To the East, that is considered more professional. And I didn't realize, I actually had to read a whole essay on like what is considered and, the culture and everything. And what we perceive as clean and professional and functional is not the same all over the world, which I know it might not be completely relevant to the exact thing we were talking about, but it is interesting, at least from my point of view. When you look at something and you're like, this is great, it's not great for everyone.
There's nothing as strange as folk. And as we engage with people from all over the world and different cultures through this fantastic sport, gaming, whatever you want to call it, we come across all sorts of people who have not just different design ideas and how things should be, but they also have different ideas about how things should run and how things should work and how they interact with people. I see it all the time within the community. Sometimes you get a butting of heads, that even things like humor in one part of the world is a very, very different thing in another part of the world, and trying to mesh all of that together to find one beautiful melting pot.
Right. So going from the West and East philosophies, the one thing that is consistent is if something works well, it works for everyone. So function, the actual purpose of this thing, whatever that is, that could be a coffee mug, could be a website, it could be a vehicle. If it works well, like if the function is apparent and you don't need instructions, then it'll work across any culture.
So Lovely Dashboard, right? Okay, Lovely Dashboard is this. So Lovely Dashboard is an interactive dashboard, like a dashboard of your car. If you don't know, okay, if you don't know what this is, and it has the dials and the speedo and your lock times and all of those bits and pieces, everything, and there's so much more into it. So many. It's an onion of a dashboard, and you can pretty much use that. For me, in ACC, I use that as my standard dashboard for pretty much all of my cars. So it's the one familiar place that I know every time. That's what I'm getting for. From car to car, I know what I'm. You started to play ACC or on PC, and then you seen a need, or it was a curiosity, and then you decided to fill the need. Find a need, fill the need. Where was the birthplace of, I could do that better, or I would like this and nobody's doing it? What is Lovely Dashboard? It's funny. It's on the web page which we have on there. You call it. I've never seen you using that term before. Maybe you always have, the Lovely Dashboard Project. So where does that come from? Where did it come from? And explain to me, what is the one-liner for what Lovely Dashboard is for people?
Well, okay, so what it is, you just mentioned what it is. It's a dashboard telemetry that works through SimHub, which is the primary application. If you have a sim rig, if you sim race, you have SimHub on your PC. Basically, it transfers all the telemetry from any game into any module. So that could be either a screen, which is the Lovely Dashboard, or it could be the haptics on your rig itself, or a motion. So basically, SimHub does. So if you have a sim rig, if you have a simulator and you're on a PC, you will have SimHub. And the Lovely Dashboard and the Lovely Dashboard ecosystem, so all the dashboards that exist, all work through SimHub. So we use the same exact properties and telemetry coming from any game in the Lovely Dashboard.
Okay.
So that's basically what Lovely Dashboard is. And as you said, it transfers all the telemetry from any vehicle you're driving to something that's very handy. It's in front of you. It could be on a separate dashboard. It could be on a steering wheel. It could be just an overlay on your monitor in game. So it doesn't you don't need extra hardware or anything. You just use SimHub and still use it. And it just transfers all that information in some usable way.
So
to answer your question, how did it begin?
Yeah.
So when I was on PlayStation, there was no need for anything. SimHub doesn't exist on PlayStation. Nicolas that writes SimHub. Again, SimHub is also done by one person, pretty much like the Lovely Dashboard. So it's interesting to see what's going on with that. But SimHub doesn't work on PlayStation. It works on PC. And now you can, I think it's Gran Turismo 7 does work through a PC and the PlayStation, but it's kind of like, you have to do that. So I didn't have any need for any dashboards or anything while using the PlayStation. I didn't consider them. I don't recall if I actually used anything back then, because there were some, with a phone, some apps you can do, but I don't remember if I really did anything. It's when I switched to PC and I got SimHub, that's when it started, kicking me in the butt. It was like I would go on it's Traction GG. What was it called before?
Yeah,
where you can find all the downloads.
Yeah, yep, I have it here somewhere. Yep, I know exactly what you mean.
Okay, that website.
Yeah.
I would go on there and I was looking for dashboards because I purchased a 5-inch 3D printed dashboard back then, and I was looking for dashboards. And the thing is, I would find a really nicely designed dashboard that was only for iRacing. I would find a really functional dashboard that was only for, let's say, ACC, for instance. I would find one dashboard that was like an all-in-one dashboard that would go for all games, and it was butt ugly. And when I say butt ugly, I don't care if it looks good or not. It wasn't functional. Like it was all over the place. And I'm not going against these because they did serve a purpose and they do serve a purpose. But for me, as a designer, I'm like, okay, why hasn't someone created a good-looking functional dashboard with multiple features and everything that works for all Sims? Like, how hard can it be?
So when you started playing around with SimHub, there is the dash. There's some dashes installed there, and there was a dash studio. So I suppose was that. Oh, I can edit and do the build my own within SimHub, and the tool was there already to do that.
Yeah, that's exactly how it started. I would download the dashboards. I would open them up and see that it's just code. I've been a web designer, so I know how to do HTML, JavaScript, which is basically what SimHub uses. So everything was there, like the knowledge was there. Of course, I needed to learn how SimHub works, properties and everything, but that's something that it just needs time.
But that goes back to your Commodore 64 tinkering. I mean, like me with Manic Miner tinkering so I could make the loading screen text, which was just a text file, make it say whatever I wanted to say. You were kind of reverse engineering stuff to work out how it worked. And then
SimHub doesn't have documentation. You kind of like try and figure out how it goes. And that's how it happened for me. So the first thing I did as a designer, I didn't open up SimHub. I went back to my design tool. I designed a dashboard and like, this is what I wanted to look like, right? Back then I didn't have the notion of, different modules left and right. And it was just one dashboard and that's it. And once I was happy with the design, which took about a few weeks because I didn't have time to spare. So yeah, it took a few weeks to design it. And once I had it, I started working on, because my primary machine, my work machine is a Mac, and SimHub doesn't work on a Mac, it's only a PC. So I spent time designing it there, and then I would go to the PC and start working on that. And that took quite some time to get everything. And then when I was in SimHub, I would realize what I do have information, what I don't have, and I would have to adapt. And there was a whole process of how I got to the first version of the Lovely Dashboard. But the Lovely Dashboard was never about creating a dashboard and creating,
No, it didn't. This is by accident. Yes,
this was something for me.
It's serendipity.
Right? I just created something that I wanted to use. That is 100% how it happened.
And at that stage, it was only for you. So the way a lot of design chaps, app guys, they use a thing called GitHub, where a lot of it's a repository for all sorts of weird and wonderful apps of all shapes and form. So at some point, you must have shared that with someone to help, have a look at what I'm doing, or when was the first recognition, hey, this isn't too bad, this is a handy thing?
So I was using the Lovely Dashboard. It was local, it was in SimHub, nowhere else. And I was using it, and then back then, this is 2022, I think, I started streaming. Well, doing some tasking. Not my face, it was just like the steering wheel and screen and games. It was very super basic. I didn't have a microphone or anything. I was just streaming because I liked the idea of sharing. Yeah. Sharing this experience that I have. But then it was just like, no one's going to watch, right? No one's going to watch until someone started watching. I had maybe like 1 viewer, 2 viewers. It wasn't like I had, like, if I got a chat message during streaming, I was ecstatic because, if anyone would watch, it would be after I stream. So in one of these streams, someone said, "What is that you have in front of you?" And I think it was a comment later on where I replied, I didn't have a microphone. I don't remember exactly when this was, but someone asked, "What is that?" And I said it's a dashboard that I created. I didn't even have the name dashboard then. So the dashboard I created, blah, 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 and all that. And they're like, can we have it? And I'm like, sure. All right. It's not going to be that hard. And that's when I created the GitHub and I had the first releases. So I started updating a few things and making it release ready, because the way I had it was just something that I was using. But if I were going to share with someone else, it had to be a bit cleaned up, the code, functionality, and everything. So that's why I had a few things in GitHub where I made some changes, and then I released it eventually. I think it was May 22nd of 2022.
So as the streaming went on, more and more people seen it. You're working like mad on this in the background and a full-time job as well. That's a hard balance to have. I gotta say, it's recognized all over the world now with real racers that sim race that are using lovely dashboard. You can name quite a few of them, I'm sure, off the top of your head.
I have. I like, the only person I will name is because we've had these long chats, and he's a really good guy. It's basically Tony Kanan.
Tony Kanan, yeah.
And we were chatting again because I'm coming up with a new release, and I had to let him know the changes that are happening. So we were chatting again yesterday, the day before. But I know for a fact that there are many drivers, Formula One drivers as well, that are actually using it. But I'm not naming anyone because either they don't want to be named, or I haven't gotten any permission to say they're using it. Unless you see it yourself, I can't talk about it.
But what an absolute buzz. Yeah.
Yeah, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard things from people that are saying, did you know that he's actually using it? I'm like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, he got him as well. And these he and him are Formula One drivers. And I'm like, you're kidding me? Like, absolutely not. He's like, this is for a fact because the person telling me is in Formula One. He's like, he told me that he's using it, and he told him and him. I'm like, holy shit, but I can't talk about them because I have not spoken to them, and I've gotten. I don't want to use that as, promotion, because it's not good. Like the Tony Kanan thing, it's official. We're working together. The version, everything, and he's okay with me talking about him using it, and you can see it on all his streams. It's everywhere, on all his rigs and everything. But for the others, if they want to, we can talk about it, but I don't have anything official.
No. It's lovely. I mean, and Lovely Dashboard, to this day, the main functionality of Lovely Dashboard, you can go, and it is the main basic Lovely Dashboard is completely free. And over the last couple of months, you have, over the last maybe 4 or 5 months now, you have eschewed your day-to-day work, and this is now your full-time gig. That's correct. That's a big step.
So the Lovely Dashboard was always free, and always will be free. Sometime in 2023, I set up I think it was a Buy Me a Coffee.
Yeah.
Where I just asked people to, if you like this, support me. And there were like, 1, 2, 3, at some point we were like 20 people. And this was really weird, right? Because I created something for myself, and I was sharing it with people and updating it as well. And people appreciated it, and they were becoming, they were not Patreons, they were just buying me a coffee every month. And
it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain that concept to people outside. That well, why did they give you money? Because they appreciate what I do, sort of thing. And I'm the same with memberships. Again, what I do. I mean, people. It's like they give us some money for entertainment, but it's lovely and flattering, and and it's hard to get your head around. But what you've done now is, those same people have got you to a point where you could do this as a thing. It's growing.
So that was quite early on. And I think I had Buy Me a Coffee for about 6 months. The service itself wasn't bad, but it didn't allow me to do some stuff that I wanted to do.
Yep.
So I moved, like all 20 people moved over to Ko-Fi, ko-fi.com. They all moved there, and it rapidly changed when I add 3 tiers. So in Buy Me a Coffee, I only had 3. It was €3 per month, and that was it. When I went to Ko-Fi, I introduced 2 tiers. So there was they're currently the same tiers up until today. So there's a starter with €1 per month, which basically unlocks all features. And back then it was What did I have back then? I think it was just a few things. So if you were a pro member, which is in the €3, you would also get the nightly build. So everything that I was working on, I would release it in Discord. So these are 1, 3, and 9 tiers, the membership. That's when everything started going. More people, like I got to 100 members within like a month. And it was just growing from then on. And yeah, I mean, Discord blew up as well. So I didn't have a Discord. Everyone's like, where can we contact you? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. DM me.
I'm an old man. I have to learn.
Why don't you go to Discord? And I didn't know what Discord, like I didn't know how it worked until I got my own server. And it just, it's just growing from there.
It's crazy.
So to just, ask.
Sorry, just for me, a really big turning point in the story is the integration with SimHub, and having on the side of SimHub now, there's an integration and a button for Lovely Dashboard, and you can make a lot of adjustments in there and access the membership side of things and all the bits and pieces. And that's when it really became, and I know it's you in your shed and the SimHub guy in his shed, but that's when it really became a really professional product.
So the memberships, as I described them, grew up until I think it was in sometime mid 24. It was in June of 2024 when I finally reached 1,000 members. Okay, huge milestone.
Yeah.
Like honestly, huge. Then from 1,000 members in June, in September, I released the next generation of the Lovely Dashboard, which includes a SimHub plugin, which does far more for memberships. Because up until now, you got to realize this, the dashboard was free for everyone. If you became a member, you just downloaded the latest version, and that was it. Like after 2 or 3 versions, everyone had it. I would release it for everyone. So it wasn't really offering anything for the members. It's just that the member was supporting me. That was the main concept. This was not viable. This was not a product. It was just something that I was doing on the side. So around the same time when I got 1,000 members, I decided to focus on this, stop doing anything else I was doing, and just this, at which point the plugin was being developed. And the plugin, what it does is it allows me, if you are a member, you can now unlock features. And the Lovely Dashboard is still free. So if you don't pay anything, you still get the Lovely Dashboard. You have some limitations, but the dashboard is still useful and functional in every aspect for every game and everything. But if you are a paid member, from the very basic one, from the starter membership, from €1 basically, you unlock all features. That's the thing.
That's pretty.
And these the plugin was introduced in September of the same year. So June, 1,000 members. September, plugin is released. In November, end of November, I hit 2,000 members.
Holy crap, man.
So it just skyrocketed. The fact that it now is a product and I treat it as a product, and every person that becomes a member is also a customer, completely changed the way I approach the product and how people see the product. And I always kept it free, and you can have everything for €1 per month, which honestly, I mean, it's a third of the coffee, a fourth of the coffee, depending on where you live in the world. It's a really low price, and you can, at least I think it's very accessible to everyone.
I think it's a fabulous tool. I mean, for me, as a customer and a long time user now, the things that I love about it, and I don't. I mean, I watch some of your tech talks and your chat now, and it's so calming and it's lovely and it's precious. But anyway, you get into so much depth, and there's so much you can do with it. And even some of my community members are going, well, you can do this and this and this, and buying that button, and I use it pretty much vanilla. But there's some of the little things in it that I really adore, and it's an aesthetic thing. But as it starts to become dark, it goes purple on me. I can choose the color, and it's a reminder. It's getting dark, and it's just darkness is coming, and it's just a love. I mean, I know it's not an important thing. It doesn't help me drive any faster, but it's just class that it's thinking and interacting with the
there's a lot in the dashboard that is purely on user experience and how the dashboard, like, you have something that looks good, this is not an Apple fanboy thing or Android or anything, but you have a product, right? Specifically Apple, and you realize that it does things that you haven't told it to do, but they're good.
Yeah.
So the actual product starts reacting to you and what you like and what you don't like. It also has features that you never thought of because someone actually did think about them. It's pretty much with the Levy dashboard. So there are things in a Levy dashboard that a lot of people don't know why they're there or how they got there. Usually it's someone that said, why don't you do this? And I expanded on the idea and I built it. So it has a lot of features that a lot of people are not using yet. It's just grown far beyond.
It's fabulous.
There's a new version coming Monday.
Okay, so
February 3rd.
If you want to talk about this, you mentioned that last week there's a big release coming. Is it something you can talk about, or a big?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hiding anything on it. Well, before I talk about that, I just like to say that I personally say that I'm a one-man show for the Levy dashboard. That's actually not true. And when I say that is, yes, I'm the one that's developing strategy, design, everything. I'm the one that's doing all of this work. But I also have partners. And when I say partners, there are, I guess, 3 main partners I work with, and they enable me to do these things.
Are they coding guys, or are they?
No. I'm not talking about people. People, yes, but that's not the point. Number 1 is SimHub, right? If Nicolas did not exist, then this would not exist, obviously. But it's not just that. Nicolas is a person. There are things in the Dash editor, Dash Studio, that did not exist prior to me asking. So a lot of complicated stuff and computational stuff and variables passing into widgets and all that, these things never existed. And I'm like, Nicolas, I want to do this. How can I do it? And he's like, you can't. Can we figure out a way? And he would always come back with us. And I always remember, always introduce new features. And the new version of the plugin and the dashboard's going to be released has one of those features. So he's always been there for the lovely dashboard. And we were working really close together. There's not a single time when I would send him a message and he wouldn't reply within like an hour saying yes or no or consulting me, whatever. So definitely could not do this without SimHub. The other big partner I have, and this is not in any way financial, it is not in any way product related, it is purely support I can talk to at any point in time, is Jamie from SimDash.
Oh, okay.
This guy, I met him online, obviously, never in person. But out of the blue, he just messaged me and says, I really like what you're doing. I want to send you a dashboard. And I'm like, okay, fine, free. It was my first ever thing that someone sent to me. Little did I know that this guy really loved, very passionate about these things. And we kind of clicked together. And when I need to talk to someone, it's either going to be, Jamie, Nicolas, just passing ideas through. So he is also one of, I call him a partner, but it's not a partnership as in, yes, he sends me all of his products, but he sends them to me so I can give him feedback on the products. It's not, it's not on boards. Yeah, it's not an endorsement or anything.
Yeah.
So SimDash as well, a great guy. And I trust everything that he does. And we are working on a few things together now. Brand new stuff. Because I had an idea. I told him the idea. And he's like, let's do it. So we're working on a few things. So I consider him a partner. And I think the third and most important partner of all is Asher Racing. So Martin Asher.
Lovely guy.
We've been working really close together. He has been supporting me in every stupid idea that I've had so far. And when I say supporting me, giving me ideas, consulting, and helping me. Yes, he has sent me this steering wheel, okay? But the steering wheel was just the beginning of, let's work together and see what we can do with this steering wheel. And we came up with a few things, and we're working together. And also, Asher Racing is supporting me by providing me an extra developer as well. So I'm using their resources to develop a few things which I can't, because I am not a programmer per se.
So at the German Sim Racing Expo last year, you were there on the Asher stand. The year before,
that's what I'm saying.
The year before, I was there handing out stickers.
My
handing out your stickers. I was sticking them on the toilet doors along with Bongo Racing stuff. So in that year, you went from an Irish guy in Germany with a handful of stickers that were posted from Greece handing them out all over the show to anybody that will take them, and taking lovely dashboard, go get it. And to you actually have space on the Asher stand, and I gotta say that brought a lot of life to the Asher stand. You were there, you were giving demos of what was there, and there was things that you could do with the Asher wheels with lovely dashboard that you couldn't do with anything else out there. And Martin is a lovely guy. He was on crutches then. I spent quite a bit of time chatting with him, and that's a fantastic company. If I hadn't went down the GSI route, I'd definitely be with Asher. I think that works.
So I think that's what I want to give credit to Asher as well, because they're not just like I have companies that have sent me more hardware, right? But I think Asher is the one that's going over and beyond, not looking at what can I get from you, and I'll give you this, give me that. It's nowhere near that. They invited me to the expo. They had a place in their booth. They allowed me to basically, sit inside their booth with my own stuff and talk about the lovely dashboard. And it's just that kind of partnership that I really enjoy. And let's go for me. These three individuals, I will say individuals, so it's Nicolas, Jamie, and Martin, have been supporting me along the way. So I do say that I do this, on my own. I develop this, I design this on my own. I come up with features from suggestions from members and everything. And eventually I will either code them or work on these things on my own, or with some resources provided from Asher. But these three people, without them, I don't think...
I think the three people
anywhere near where we are now
all have a big similarity, because Martin started designing and building a wheel in his garage out of wood and different bits and pieces, and he done his own because he didn't see the thing that he really wanted and didn't have the money, and he started to design stuff and then got it the structures made, and that's so he's that way. He's a garage guy, just like SimHub and your SimDash guy. We're all the same. It's from a very basic thing upward, and you've created something from nothing, and that's where the tangent is between all of you guys, and that's why you get on.
If you notice, no great company, no great product has ever been created from
big
companies. Like no great product ever has been created because, there's an opportunity to make money. Let's make a product for that. It will never be good. All great products, every single one, has been created because people who created it loved what they did while creating it.
Yeah.
Every single product. It's as simple as that.
So, lovely dashboard, is it a success now? In your head, is it a success, or is it still an infant and it has so much more to grow? I mean, one, is it a success? And I suppose, where does it go from here? I mean,
it definitely is a success for me. But I guess you have to define success. Like everyone has their own, does it make a lot of money? No. Am I rich? No. Am I happy? Yes. Do I love working on it? Yes. Do a lot of people use it? Yes. So yeah, for me, it's a success. This eventually, I will, at some point in time, hopefully early on in 2025, I'll be making the money that I did on my actual, contractor job.
Okay.
And then there is no ceiling. That's where I'm looking towards, because when you're working as a contractor, you already know that you have some certain days of the month you can work, whatnot. With this, it can actually have no ceiling, but that is not the goal. Having no ceiling means I can expand this even more. I can get more people from me. I can pay more people to work on this and develop it. And to be honest, I'm releasing things and I'm already making notes on, let's do this as well. And these are complicated things.
Okay, so
the things that I want.
That's brilliant. Okay, that's great. Let's bring it back to you. Okay, so some of the things that I miss about you. I miss you spending time in the rig racing. I don't see you doing that as much anymore.
I don't do that.
Are you balancing your this work, which is all consuming? Are you making time for that? Do you still find sim racing fun? Is that a relaxing, enjoyable thing, or is it now a work thing? I find that difficult because I stream so much and I come out and do championship races, but there's the odd night where I just come out to have a knockabout. Just like the old days with no streaming, just me, just to relax. Because it's so easy. This hobby has turned into a job. And I mean, I think it's important that you stay in touch with that as well. So, are you making time?
Yeah. No, I don't have time. Especially now with this next release. I mean, honestly, it's been a few months now, and I've been working on it over 16 hours a day.
Okay.
It's not just this. There's like other things that are coming. Like in 2025, there's going to be there's a massive load of work that's going to be introduced. And I've been working on that for months on end. So I haven't had time to race at all. Honestly, I think the last video with a race I have, maybe in July, I think, I've not raced at all. And I do miss it. And there is one thing that is coming, hopefully, that will kind of force me to start driving again. And I'm not a good driver, but I do enjoy it.
Yes.
So,
you always do.
You know.
Well, I hope you find that. I hope you carve out some time for yourself as well. Because I think
it's necessary.
That's
it's
important.
necessary.
Important.
It's just that I've been focused on
to see how things,
everything that's coming, and it's like I can't do both. There's no way I can do both.
No, it's
My
hard.
priority right now is, I didn't mention, but we've already surpassed 3,100 members.
Flipping heck. That's
so my priority has shifted from making myself happy to making myself happy while working on this.
Yes.
Because I really do enjoy working on it. Honestly, I'm not working, I'm playing when I'm developing the dashboard and all these new features. So I'm kind of shifting priority because I need to deliver this thing. But once this is delivered, February 3rd, there will be a time shortly after that where I will start streaming and racing, all week part and rest down. It's just one thing that I next thing.
You find something you love and do every day, and you never go to work. You're doing what you love. This year is a very, very big year within sim racing. A lot of things are up in the air. I mean, when we started, it was iRacing. I find it hard to say that. And ACC, that's about it. And now this year, there's just so much splitting of communities and where people spend their time. iRacing's still there and strong, carrying on. LMU, Le Mans Ultimate, is now taking a big chunk of community. AMS2, where I'm spending quite a bit of time now as well. And AC still there hanging on. But we've got Evo, and Lovely Dashboard is already set up to work with Evo now as well. That's going to be it's a strange year, but you're straddling a lot of these things. And with the F1 stuff now as well, you're bringing that in with Lovely Dashboard. How do you see the sim racing community and where it's going to end up landing? I mean, are there ones that do you think are likely to fall by the wayside, or is there room for them all?
Honestly, I think there's room for everyone. We're still a niche market, a really small market. I don't think there will be only one simulator to rule them all. I'm pretty sure many of them want to do that, but I don't think it will ever happen. I do believe in AC Evo a lot. And the reason I do, because it's got, like, after a few interviews that I saw from Kuno Chief Marco, whatever his name is, he did mention that they will be allowing developers to mod AC Evo. And the reason AC still exists, the original AC, is because of that.
Yes.
So the way I see it is AC Evo will just be a continuation, a marriage, a binding of AC and ACC into something that is far better and still allow mods. So if they manage to do that, and it will be in 2025, the roadmap says fall of 2025 will be version 1. So if we see that, then AC Evo will be taking a huge chunk of the market. Basically, it will be taking up the AC and ACC market, because whoever's using these two will be using, because they will find the same exact things in AC Evo. But I don't see any of the other markets, like people migrating, because you can have them all. You don't need to choose. In the morning, do AC Evo. In the night, do AM2. Then iRacing. You can have them all. It's just,
I think the biggest challenge
AC and ACC will be kind of merging into one.
I think so.
AC Evo will be growing and gaining a lot of momentum as long as they do it right.
And
as long as I've seen, once I set up on my PC, I was like, wow, this is really good. I was still infant. I was really good.
I was quite Not critical, but I mean, at this show, I was I was critical of quite a lot of content creators going, this is the best thing since sliced bread. And very much with the release that was there, but the potential is there, and it is going to be a fantastic product. I think the balance that they're going to have is where AC is that open market for pretty much put any mod you want into it. They have to work out a way how to monetize that, because the long term, they're building AC Evo, I'm sure in their head, as a platform rather than than just a single game. So it can't be a free for all where mods go in like mad, and they have to.
I think that's where AC Evo will differentiate. Having that, like, I remember when I did have the PlayStation and did play Gran Turismo back in the day, there was this part of Gran Turismo where you go to the garage and fix your car and add this and that. I never cared for that.
So you just never automatic.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to drive. Yeah, right? AC though, and eventually AC Evo, as far as I know, will have these opportunities, not changing the color of the car, but getting a new car, getting a new track, getting a car that doesn't exist yet. So adding all these mods, for me, that's what's going to be interesting. I think they do want to have like a garage where you can rent and buy cars and soup them up and have different rims. Fine, that's not for me. It's going to be for someone else. But it will attract people.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
So if they do it right, I think AC Evo will be growing and gaining a lot of momentum.
There's markets within Evo, whether it be a garage around the Nordschleife or a building where people congregate on, share and sell stuff, to the painters, to the modders, to all those bits and pieces. There's going to be little markets within Evo, which is we just don't even have that concept of it at the moment. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up very shortly. Apart from sim racing, is there any other hobbies that you have? Is there anything else you do? Anything else you really like? And are you a walker or are you a swimmer? Do you do? Is there anything else we don't know about you?
I go to the gym every morning, but I don't like it. It's not what I like to do, but I do go. Now, I think my hobby is my job. If I were to do something else, it would be traveling. I really, really love traveling and walking wherever I go. So a lot of walking, but traveling is probably like the next big thing that I like to do. Other than that, like no other hobbies other than this. This is my hobby.
That's it.
So I enjoy working on this. If I'm not working on this, I'm thinking about working on this, thinking over the ideas and everything. So this is, either I'm in a work state of mind or relaxed state of mind. There's no lie. I was in the gym this morning and I thought of something for the dashboard and I got my phone out and I sent me an email because I was like, I need to do this. So it's always there. So for me, this is
lovely dashboard
my
logo.
pastime, my hobby, what I get angry at and what I love. But if it weren't this, it would be definitely traveling. I love going to new places and discovering new places.
Excellent. If you want lovely dashboard, where do we go to get the lovely dashboard?
So coming this Monday, February 3rd, everything will be, everything is on the website. But this Monday, things are changing a bit and the experience of downloading and installing the lovely dashboard will be far simpler. So if you go to the Lovely Sim Racing website, that is lsr.gg. So Lovely Sim Racing, lsr.gg. Everything is there right now. So you can download everything, the plugin, the dashboards, everything is there. The pit wall, which is behind a login. So only if you are a member, a pro member and above, you can download the pit wall. But everything is downloadable on the website.
Yeah.
And come Monday, you will only need to download one file, which is the installer. So for those that already have the dashboard installed, they don't need to do that. But if you're a new member, if you're a newcomer to the lovely ecosystem, you'll only download an installer file, which will do all the hard work for you. And then inside the plugin itself, you will have a list of all the dashboards and you just click and it will install directly. So you don't need to download any other file or update any other files. Everything will happen within the plugin. If you're an existing user, if you already have the lovely plugin installed and everything, you get a little notification on Monday saying there's a new version. You will click on that, it will install the new version, and everything will be in there. So you will update dashboards within the plugin itself. No need to visit the website again and download files and get all messy. Everything will be super clean.
It's fantastic. I look forward to do them all. And then you can be contacted directly if need be. You leave a message in your Discord, which you'll find within the website.
All social media, I look at everything. I respond to everyone. Either it's you, Instagram, Facebook. What else is there? Threads, X, or Twitter.
GeoCities.
And most importantly, I think Discord is like it's a huge community. We're almost 10,000 members in Discord right now. Of course, Discord is more about, community, stuff like that. But hopefully 2025, we'll see a change in the Discord as well. So more of a community approach.
I feel honored and privileged that we bumped into each other online through racing games. And it was fantastic to meet you in the flesh and give you a squeeze in Germany. And I hope that we can many more times and we can remain good buddies and friends throughout this. And I'll be watching your progress and the lovely dashboard progress with bated breath, watching it as it develops. And it's so lovely to have watched it from its infancy. And thank you so much for taking the time this morning.
I thank you too. I think I never miss any of your streams.
No, you both.
So I would say people watching this video right now obviously are watching you, but I will also say that anyone else that's not watching you and doesn't know who Robin is, he is one of the friendliest and amazing guys creating his passion into a stream. So I even saw the one you didn't have power at home and making chili. Dude, I love your streams, all of them. So I think I'm very fortunate as well to have met you online and in person. And yeah, it's people like you and people that are passionate about what they do that actually drive me as well. So it was really good. And yes, I would take time out of my day to talk to you anytime.
Cheers, Constantinos. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you too, man.
Then he waddled away, waddle, waddle.